Welcome to Tales on the Towpath, the podcast where every mile tells a story.
We're two runners who spend a lot of time out here on the C&O Canal towpath, talking about training, racing, and everything that happens between the miles.
From early morning runs to the stories that keep us moving.
This is where endurance meets inspiration, one step, one tail at a time.
So lace up and join us on the path, because every trail has a story, and this one's ours.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Adam Lowe.
And I'm Chris Earl. Hey, Adam, we are closing in. It's getting really close to the Capitol backyard. Are you ready?
I am almost ready. We still have 12 days, I think. So there's still a little bit of training and thinking that's going to go into this, but yeah, I'm almost ready to go on March 28th. Hey, before we get started, I don't know that it would be right if we didn't mention Katie. She is with the girls tonight, herd girls. So she has the night off while Chris and I have some bro talk about Capitol Backyard. But I told her she could come downstairs at any moment if she wanted to and make a guest appearance. So we'll see if that happens or not.
That sounds great.
I am, like you said, 12 days away from Capitol. I know you're going to be there crewing for Samir and I. We got our 2026 Capitol Backyard Ultra Running Guide yesterday in an email, but I just saw it today. So pretty excited to open that thing up and go through the rules. And we just kind of figured we would do an episode all about the Backyard Ultra. And then we'll talk about my preparation for this year's. And then Chris is going to share some knowledge from when he's done a couple backyards as well. How's that sound, Chris?
Sounds good. So this race, right, is in Lorton, Virginia. Is that right? Just outside of Woodbridge. So a little bit
correct.
southeast of DC.
Yes, that's right.
All right, cool. So that's what about just about 2 hours from us, but it'll bring together some of the best backyard ultra runners in the Mid-Atlantic region, at least, if not the East Coast. So I know you're really excited about that, but why don't you tell us a little bit about the race and the format and the expectations for that day?
Yeah, so the race itself, and Chris, you can jump in at any time if I miss something or misspeak or whatever, but I shouldn't misspeak too much because we help put one of these things on, right? But sometimes I just kind of gloss over a couple things. But the Backyard Ultra itself is a 4.167 mile loop. And the reason behind that very specific number is if you do it 24 times or 24 hours, you have 100 miles exactly. So that gives you 100 miles in one day. This particular race starts at 8 a.m. So 8 a.m., they say go. You have to be there. You have to be ready. You have to be in the box. No late starts. They say go, and you're moving forward 4.167 miles within that hour. And if you finish early, you get to come back and do whatever you want in your tent. You can eat, sleep, change your clothes, take a shower if you have that with you, whatever you want to do. And with 3 minutes before the top of the next hour, they'll blow a whistle 3 times. And then with 2 minutes to go, they blow it twice. And then 1 minute to go, they blow it once. And you must be back inside that starting corral in order to run again. So if you're in the bathroom and they yell go and you try to come out, you're too late, then you're done. You got to be in that corral moving forward in order to continue. Let's see, what do we got here?
So, Adam, this is a race, though, that is a race without a finish, right? It is truly a last person standing. It goes until only one person is left finishing the lap. Is that right?
Right. So right now there are 53 registered runners. So if everybody were to show up, you have 53 people going in that very first loop. And then basically you go until you miss that start line. So if you're still out on the course during that hour and the last whistle blows and you're still half mile away and you can't get back on time, then you time out. If you're sitting in your chair in your tent, then you time out. So yeah, like you said, it goes until there is 2 people left. And then at the very end, only one person can win. So if they both go back out and only one comes back in time, then that person's the winner. If neither one of them comes back in time, then you have a tie. So that usually doesn't happen. Normally there's a winner in these things, but a tie has happened before. No crew or personal aid stations during the loop. So everything you need has to be, at your tent. You can't at mile 1.5. Chris is going to be there crewing for me. I can't have Chris at mile 2 come out and give me a cheeseburger. He's got to do that at the tent. He can't come out and help me out. Anything I take with me, I must bring back. So if I take a water bottle out with me, I got to bring that water bottle back. You're not allowed to like even drop it a mile in and then just say, "Oh, I'll pick that up later." Anything you carry out, you got to carry back in. Let's see. No trekking poles allowed. What else do we got? No non-competitors on the course. So only people that competing can be on the course at a time. And yeah, I think that's it. I think that I can you think of anything that I missed as far as the rules go?
No, I think you did a really good summary there. I think, the one that I've seen catch people is that no receiving aid once the loop starts. One of the races I was in one time, it was the middle of the night and a competitor realized he had forgotten his headlamp when the yard was about to start, and he stepped across the line and his crew tossed him the headlamp, and that was it. He knew as soon as he grabbed it that that was not what he was supposed to have done. But, chances are he wasn't going to finish the loop in time in the dark anyway through the woods. So that may have just been a convenient excuse for him.
Right. Hey, that's a good point too, Chris. Once they say go, you must be moving forward towards the start line. So if you realize your shoe is untied, you're not supposed to just bend over and tie it real quick. You're supposed to walk across the start line and then you can tie it and then get up and continue. You cannot like cross the start line and then go back to your tent before continue. You have to finish that loop before you go back to your tent, so you can't step over and go, "Oh, I forgot my water bottle," and then run back to your tent and then go keep going. You must finish that loop before. The only reason they have in the rule book that you can leave the course is if you have to go to the bathroom. So they don't want people just going to the bathroom right in the middle of the trail. So
Everyone
you
behind you appreciates that.
yeah, I would imagine. So, yeah, it's and it all seems like so like common common sense, right? But like when you're out there and you're tired and it's 3:30 in the morning and like you said, that guy just forgets his headlamp, eh, you know, that's after 80 miles of running, those mistakes can happen. So that's where like just getting this stuff ingrained in your brain and knowing, all right, I got everything I need. When I start, I got to finish the loop with everything that I have on me right now. So this course is a little bit different than the more miles last one standing. So there's actually a day loop, which is on trails, and then there's a night loop, which is, I guess, flatter, and it looks like it's on road and bike, like a bike trail kind of thing. So the day loop has about 300 feet of elevation throughout, and I think the nighttime loop has maybe a total of like 60 or 70. So it's pretty flat there for the nighttime loop. And the idea is there is just to allow people to go further. It's obviously a little easier to run on the flat and walk on the flat, and you don't have to worry about tripping over roots and stumbling through the trail. So that will be, I think, a nice little addition. I'm trying to find real quick what it says. Let's see if I can find this. Here we go. 7 a.m. or I guess 7 p.m. Saturday night, runners switch to the night loop. And then if you're still running Sunday morning at 7 a.m., you go back to the day loop. And then 7 p.m., you go back to the night loop. So it's about 12 hours on each loop that you're running. So if you can make it that far.
Think that's really interesting, right? That's a big change from the more miles course, right? You probably won't be running in the dark on the wooded trail. so the footing will be a lot easier and things like that. You'll still need a headlamp and all that, but you shouldn't have to worry as much about the roots and the rocks, catching you as a shadow and going down hard. That's a nice little added bonus you get with running the more miles one is you get the additional technical aspect of it in the dark. So
Yeah, I've looked at with the more miles course about making a road loop there, and there's just nowhere to do it. I mean, it's still hilly and you can't run on that road anyway. So, it is what it is. That course doesn't allow for a change to a night loop. Then you'd be playing Frogger half the time and it might even be worse. So, but
I'll
yeah,
take my
this
chances with the rocks and roots.
yeah, yeah. And but I really like this, and it's a hopefully, a change of scenery as you go from one to the other, and you can kind of look forward to mixing it up a little bit. But yeah, I'm excited about the possibility of running long enough to get a change from going back and forth, as far as day loop, night loop, day loop, night loop. So that'd be pretty good.
Yeah, so for our listeners, why don't you put it into perspective for them just how far this race could go? I think people think of that 100-mile mark as being like really a huge achievement to have, but is that sort of where we expect this to finish or what do you think?
Well, Chris, I know I saw in a YouTube video one time that Laz said, and Laz is the creator of the Backyard Ultra, but he said that more people have done 100 miles now in 24 hours through the backyard format than they have in an actual 100-mile race. So it's, it's a built-in pacer if you can pace it correctly. And we'll get into that here in just a little bit. But as far as how far the race can go, I mean, obviously the weather can play into that a little bit, but just for a little bit of records here, last year, no, not last year, the year before, so 2024, the winner ran 270.83 miles. Second place was 266.66 miles. So 270 is what, 2.5 days plus 2 hours, right? So yeah, what's that? 48.62 yards for the win. And that was in 2024. In 2023, Scott won with 312 miles. So 74, right, yards. And second place was Jennifer Russo with 308. So Jennifer finished second in 2023 and 2024. So after 74 yards, that one ended. Top 10. This is the seventh year for the race. If you want to finish in the top 10 overall of all time, it's 220 miles for the men, so just over 2 days. And for the women, top 10 was 108 miles, so 26 hours. So that gives you, yeah, a little background about how long it could possibly go. It's just a matter of how far it right. We saw last year with the Nick Bear race, the BPN Go One More. It only took two guys to go as far as they went. If you want to check that out, you can watch. Samir and I were talking about it today. It's that YouTube video called Surrender. And I think those two guys ran 26 yards one on one. And that was after like 26 with everybody else. And then it only takes two people to continue. So, I fully expect half the field at least to get over 24 yards and then kind of go from there. Samir told me that in the email, which I didn't see it anywhere in here, but I'll believe him, even though I didn't see it. He told me that they wrote that if you wanted to be considered quote unquote elite, you had to get to 48 hours or 48 yards. So I compared that to a sub 3 marathon. What do you think, Chris? Is that or is sub then Samir said sub 3 marathon might not be considered elite anymore. You got to say sub 250. But I don't know.
Yeah,
So
or maybe sub 240. 200 miles seems like a pretty far out there achievement compared to a 3-hour marathon. I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, yeah, I mean, it could the furthest this race has gone is 74 yards, 312 miles. The world record is 119 yards. So I think that's 496 miles. Yeah,
Yeah, it
so
was one short of 500.
one short of 5 days of running. So if you can remember, we're recording this, Chris, on Tuesday, March 17th. It's almost 8 p.m. So that would be like starting the run Thursday at 8 p.m., right?
Well, so Tuesday at 8 p.m., that would be like running till Sunday at 5 p.m. or
Yeah,
8 p.m.
so run from right now to Sunday at 8 p.m. And then yeah, and that is how long that is. So I've tried to wrap my mind around that a few times and I'm still working on that. So
So, oh, go ahead.
no, I was saying it's gonna be fun either way to push and find out, what the limit is and how to get there safely this time around.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So that brings up an interesting point, though, right? That running a backyard ultra is not the same as running a 5K. It's not the same as running a marathon. I like to personally remind myself it's an endurance event, not an endurance race, which I think is an important distinction to keep in mind there. So, what is your approach going to be going into the race? Like, and have you been practicing that in training?
Yeah, so it's a lot different for me to do something like this where I'm actually gonna try to slow down and pace myself. Like, normally the gun goes off and I've like trained myself over the last 16 years now just to go from point A to point B as fast as I can, right? Like no matter what happens during the race, the goal is to go from A to B as quick as I can, or to run as many miles as I can within that time frame. And over the past, I don't know, a couple months, I've started to train a little bit specifically for the backyard. So some purposeful 9:30, 10-minute miles, and then include some walking breaks in there and just remind myself that that's the way to go to get to a high number of yards in the backyard. So it's going to be interesting to see. Like I've told anybody who will talk to me about this, like, you know, Scott Snell is the guy that won in 2023 with that big number, and he won last year. And I've watched a couple YouTube videos of Capitol Backyard, and from what I could see, he was standing behind everybody else in the corral. And every time he just walked off the start line and like just walked for a while. So I told Samir that I was going to make a new best friend and just follow him and do whatever he did and just not even think about it. But yeah, so like today, for example, we went out, Samir and I did, and we did just 1 yard, but we did it in like 42 or 43 minutes, which is still pretty fast. We even walked up Sawmill Road a little bit, so we had a hill in there. And that's the one thing I've learned through this is how much you can actually walk during that hour. You can help me out with the math a little bit, but it's like 1440 a mile, something like that, right? So if you run even just a quarter mile, you can almost walk the rest of that mile, depending on how fast you walk, in order to finish in under 50 minutes. I still haven't been able to go over 50 minutes yet, right? And that's an okay problem to have, but like I think I need to do 1 or 2 before Capital, just so, like, when I do a 50-minute lap in Capital, I don't, like, mentally freak out, if that makes sense, like, so I know I need to do that, and when I did the 12-hour challenge at Antietam Brewery in February, it was, like, 12 degrees all day long, so I ran a little faster than I needed to, but it was just, I needed to get out of the cold as well, but I think I did most of those in 40 to 42 minutes. And when we did those, I thought I walked a lot. We walked up every hill, we walked on the road, we walked when it was flat, and I even like added a couple of hills so I could walk more. And I know like when you were there, we tried to walk everything and you're like, "Do you want to walk this?" And I was like, "No, I'm good." And then by the end, I was like walking it because I realized at that point, that was the first time I had done this in practice. And I honestly didn't realize how much you could walk and still finish in plenty of time. Now, I haven't seen the capital course yet, except for this map they just sent us in the email, but like there looks like there's some pretty good hills here. So it looks like there's going to be some built-in walk breaks automatically, which will help me out for sure to start. And yeah, I mean, I think the goal is just to keep the heart rate low and to keep walking, which is going to be weird for me. I know, but it is what it is. I know, like you said, maybe that's a good way to think about it. Is it's not really a race; it's more of an event. And then because there's no prize for coming in first at the end of each yard.
That's exactly what I was gonna say is there's no bonus points for finishing in 42, 44 minutes, right? So keep that heart rate down, keep that lactic acid from building up and just see how far you can go.
Yeah. So hey, we have a special guest moment. Like I said a little bit ago, you want to say hi there, Katie?
Hi there, Katie. Hello,
Welcome, Katie.
everyone. I'm here to make a special appearance.
Perfect.
So we're just talking about the well, I don't know if she can hear me, but we're
You
just talking
can.
about the backyard and sort of Adam's training plan and approach to each yard going into it.
Hey, you know what? Another thing that I found to be helpful is I started doing a yard on the treadmill. And for me, that helps with like my walking pace because when I like slowed to walk, I'm just thinking, all right, well, now I'm just like walking like I'm at the grocery store and I wasn't walking very fast and I had to like mentally think to like walk faster. But I could set the treadmill at like 3.9 miles an hour or 4 miles an hour. And then it keeps me at that steady walking pace. Now, obviously, during this, I'll be walking uphill, so it'll be a little bit different, but it's still a pretty good change in the approach to the training. So we did what I did the challenge in February, and then I joined you for some yards in February, and then I've been doing probably like 4 or 5 at least every couple of days, just trying to get some slower miles and stuff in there. Do you have something you need to add there, Katie?
No,
Okay.
I was just going to say the main things that I've heard from Adam about this race are, can I have permission to die running this race? Can I have permission to run forever during this race? Do I have your permission to not be back for a week? That kind of stuff. So I'm in it. I'm trying to mentally prepare, I guess, to be in it for the long haul as well.
Yeah, for sure. That's gonna be a big adjustment for at home, I bet. So
Yeah, well, now everybody knows my goals. So
Well, he's been given strict orders that he has to make sure his urine color is correct, that he is fueling and hydrating properly, probably in excess, actually, which it looks like
we'll
maybe
talk
that's
about
what you're
that.
going to talk about next.
Yeah, next.
yeah, so I think we have Jeff lined up, right, to check your urine color.
So hey, so I don't think Jeff's gonna come anymore.
Probably not now.
Breaking news on the podcast. Our buddy Jeff is dealing with a torn meniscus. Is that I think what it is? And
Yeah.
he's 50-50 on coming right now for the race. He said he might come Sunday if we're still running to encourage us and keep us going. So we'll see.
So, all right, well, why don't we talk about how you plan to fuel during the race, right? Because you're going to be out there for a long time. You're going to be burning a lot of calories. Gonna have to replenish that. So, do you have a plan going into this?
Yeah, I'm just gonna eat whatever Samir eats. I've seen that dude eat during
A lot of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Yeah, no, so yeah, this is new for me too. Man, this is like the whole race experience is going to be fun. But when we just did, Katie, you're here. What was that race called? Dark Side. When we just did Dark Side, that was a 5.5-mile loop, and you did as many times as you could in 8 hours. And part of my goal for that was to make sure I was eating during the loops, because that's what I always have a hard time with, is slowing down enough to eat. Even at the end, I guess it's different, right? Like when you're doing an 8 hour challenge or a 12-hour challenge, and I get, if I'm a few hours away, I always know the finish line is soon, right? Like I can go 12 hours without eating, especially when I'm drinking or I have my mind occupied with the running part. But like you said earlier, there's no set finish line. So it's important. And from everything, from what I've heard from like the good backyard ultra guys, the professionals, they talk about not getting behind early. Like if you're not eating after every yard, you're in trouble. So that was when I went to Dark Side. That was one of the big things that I wanted to do, and that was to eat in between each lap. So Katie and I brought a huge tub of food, which we did not touch during the race at all. So that tells you how good I did there.
Well,
But
there was a huge buffet at that race, so
yeah.
you didn't really need to break into our own snacks when they had quesadillas in the morning. It was cheese and egg quesadillas and bacon, and then they changed over to lunch stuff like
So I
wraps
had,
and everything. So
so
I'm sorry. Back to you, Adam.
thank you. So I had cheese and egg quesadilla. I had bacon. I had pierogies. I had chocolate covered bacon. And, I still only ate like a couple pieces per yard, like or per loop. I definitely didn't eat enough. But one thing I did do well was I took a handheld bottle with either Tailwind or G1M Sport every loop. So I had 20 ounces of fluid that had carbohydrates and sodium and calories in there for me. I also had gels. So I did better than what like I normally would. And this is where Chris is gonna have to like be the MVP of the day, because even at Dark Side, when I thought I was gonna do just one more loop, I left my bottle and everything on the table because I was like, I don't need to carry this. I'm only doing one more loop. And then when I came back, I decided to do one more loop. So then that next loop, the last loop I did carry my bottle, but like that's what I mean about like these 8 hour, 12-hour races. Like I don't like, the other day at the pub run, Samir said something about eating. He's like, he said, I don't know how you can run these races and not eat. And I said, that's because I'm there to run. It's not an eating contest. But I think the backyard is going to be more of an eating contest, and I'm going to have to like keep getting the calories in.
I think in these types of races, you don't really know what your last loop is until, I mean, in the backyard, you don't really know, but in a 12-hour and 8 hour, you're only confined by the time. So if you really only have time to do one more, then it's your last one. Otherwise, I'm telling myself all day, this is my last one. And then I get back and I'm like, okay, one more. So you really have to keep that in mind and keep fueling, even if you think it's your last one.
No, I don't have to keep that in mind. Chris does. That's Chris's job.
Wait, has Chris taken off the whole week?
Yeah, he's good. He's good. Yeah, yeah. He said he has to go back Wednesday, but I don't believe him.
If we get to the 5th day, I will
Yeah.
I will
If
be
we
sick that day. It'll be
if we
fine.
get to the 5th day, yeah. That's not gonna happen.
That's when I have to take off work and come back down.
Yeah. But yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, but I'm going in. It's not like I don't know this, right? So that's what I keep saying. If I run too fast and I don't do walking breaks and I don't eat, then I have nobody to blame but myself, right? Because I know what I need to
And
do,
Chris.
and I just have to do it, right? What are you laughing at, Chris?
I heard Katie. I don't know if the listeners will pick that up, but you said I have no one to blame except myself, and Katie said, "And Chris."
I don't know what he's saying.
He said that you said you had.
Chris. You
Oh,
have no one to blame but yourself. And I said, and Chris.
I thought she said exactly, and she's sitting right next to me, and I couldn't understand her. So there you go.
All right.
All right.
So one last thing I want to ask you about, and I've heard different runners take different approaches on this, is when obviously if this goes 2, 3 days, right, at some point fatigue and sleep is going to become an issue. Do you have a plan for sleeping? You've said some of these yards you're doing in, 42 to 48 minutes. That does give you some time. Is that something you're factoring in?
Yeah, so I have been thinking about this and listening to the podcast and trying to figure it out. I think I'm I think I'm definitely, does that make any sense? I think I'm definitely going to try to go the whole first night and not like sleep unless I'm feeling real tired. Maybe those 3, 4, 5 a.m. hours and just try to get like a few minutes. But I know like the guys that are better at backyards, they have started running their night loops a little faster so they can get longer naps. So that's gonna be kind of my goal, I think, as of right now. Ask Katie. I've gotten pretty good at like falling asleep, like watching TV or like a real quick cat nap or something. So I think I think I can fall asleep or at least like rest my eyes, and for even 5, 10 minutes would be pretty helpful. So I think that's gonna be my plan is to try to run the night loops if I think I need a nap like a little quicker, and then that way I can lay down and just relax and get some good resting time that way.
I think that's something that the having the night course at Capitol is going to help with. I think I believe we'll see a lot of runners who will take that approach of going out running a little bit quicker because the footing is more secure and getting back and getting that 10, 15 minutes of sleep in. So we will be prepared though to make sure you're awake and back in that box before the third whistle.
Yeah, yeah, and the cool thing is like, we just talked about like my approach and my nutrition and my sleep plans and all that stuff, and like I could get there and just go, that's not working, right? And I've never done one of these before. Like I've never done a real one before, right? Like I've done that practice one, that Antietam. I've done a virtual last one standing, but it was a different format. There was 1 mile every hour for like 2.5 days, and then we did a tiebreaker. So I've done like the lack of sleep thing, kind of, but not, with 10, 15 minutes of rest. So yeah, that will be interesting. It'll be pretty big to have you there and some other people there as well to like make sure I hear the whistle, kind of like eases me off of that, plan. I have a binder that I made that has like some plans in it and some ideas, but like you said, or like I said, that could just go out the window, right? Like we could get there the first night and it could be 1 a.m. and I could go, hey, I'm really tired. I need to sleep for 5 minutes, right? And right now my plan is not to sleep the first night, but if it changes, it changes. So having never done one before, pretty flexible about like what the plan would be.
Yeah, no, I absolutely right. Like Mike Tyson says, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face, right? And that's I assume is what's going to happen
Well,
that first Saturday night.
that's why I need Jeff there because he would be the guy that punched me in the face.
That's probably true.
It's almost like, well, okay, when Katie runs on the treadmill, she watches Survivor, right? So it's almost like Jeff in Survivor says, like, if you want to experience this, you got to come out here, right? Like, you can watch it on TV and you can see all the challenges and you can see all the tribal councils and all that stuff. But like, once you're out there, it's completely different. So I can watch all the YouTube videos I want. I can listen to podcasts. I can hear other people's stories, but like I haven't experienced it for myself. So who knows, right? Like all in all, like at the end of the day, I just want to have fun and like win. So I don't think that's too much to ask, right?
I knew you were going to say that.
Those two things go hand in hand for me. So if I do everything right, I have a chance to be in the top 52 runners at this event, right? Like that's all. But no,
Oh,
I'm looking forward to it for sure.
all right. Well, so Adam, do you have any additional thoughts or concerns about the race or anything else you want to share and chat about?
Hey, the only one thing I did see was because we weren't sure. There is a packet pickup and early setup on Friday. So as long as the weather's good, we'll be able to get out there and like set up our tent and leave some chairs out and stuff like that. So we don't have to do it all on Saturday morning. I know that. And then we're going to go back to a hotel because we're both getting old and Katie's
Who,
coming.
me
Yeah. So,
and Chris?
well, all of us are going to go back to a hotel, but Chris is going to be in a different room. But we're all getting older. So car camping or camping was out of the question. So we'll have maybe like a 15-minute drive back to the start line in the morning, which is way better than just short of 2 hours. Oh, Chris, let's talk about this. So we talked about nutrition, and I think that's going to be one of the biggest things there. But in the packet, they talked about you should bring everything that you need. Like they're gonna have like some stuff at the aid station, and it'll be pretty well stocked, but it's only like every 3 hours or something like that. They cook other stuff. So like Samir and I were talking today, and we were talking about like the amount of food that we need to bring in order to, you know, have a fully stocked tent area. So that could be interesting, and hopefully we get to use most of that food there. But yeah, so I don't know, Chris, what were some food items that you enjoyed when you did your backyards?
So the foods I brought were Uncrustables, and then like salty snacks like chips, and then I had a little bit of options like Swedish fish for candy, just for a different solid food sugar source. But yeah, that's definitely something that I think is each individual runner needs to consider, like what kinds of foods you want to have, and to have a little bit of a variety, right? Because especially if you get into like the third day, you might not want to even look at another Uncrustable, right? And
So, hey, one thing I've have seen or heard is that like with the potato chips, like I have right now like a huge bag of chips, right? And like it sounds easy enough just to grab like a handful and then you're eating, but like if you don't have that much time. So one thing I've seen is that if you make little baggies of food, then like at minute or out or yeah, minute 59, and I have to go, then I can just take that bag with me and then I can eat during those breaks. So I definitely plan on like preparing little bags of food as well. So that way I have that stuff that I can just kind of, you can just like kind of toss it to me and then I go get in the corral and then go. So I think that'll work out pretty well.
I actually did that at the 8-hour challenge that we just did at Darkside with peanut butter filled pretzels. I had them in little baggies. So, because what happens is you like thinking through JFK and other times that I've been in these hourly challenges, is I have them in my hands and I go out on the next loop while I'm still eating. But then you're forced to either carry, throw away, or stuff them all in your mouth, like right away, like as you're just walking out on the next loop. So I did have some of those peanut butter pretzels in a baggie, and it really worked out because I could eat a few, put them in my pocket, come back to it later, and then yeah, when it was convenient.
Okay, that's what I'm going to do then.
lots of baggies.
Do you want me to talk about my goals? My real goals?
Yeah, let's hear them.
So my real goals are to be smart, right? Stay hydrated, get to Chris, I can't do that.
What? Put how many miles?
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah,
so
don't do it
so
then.
you can't put a number on the mile. Okay, so like I don't care. I fail all the time. Who cares? So if I don't get to 100 miles, this will be a complete waste of time. It'll be a failure, no matter what. I don't care what anybody says. It'll be a failure. If I don't get to 200 miles, I'll still feel the same way because I've run almost as far as that before. Now,
Yeah, but what happened after that one? So
well,
we need to be smart. Go back to your first goal. Be smart.
I already said that.
I
So, but so
so we need to keep recycling back to that. Anyway, continue.
yeah. Then my next goal is to honestly just go until I cannot go anymore and not to quit in the chair. So I want to make sure that like I don't get back and then just like sit there. Like I want to, for lack of a better word, I want to die on the course.
We won't use the word die, but you will time out
You have
on the
time out.
course.
Yeah. Whatever. I do want to find like again like that place where like it just sucks and you don't want to go anymore. And like I know that like that place is scary, right? Like I did that already in 2022. Yeah. So like, yeah, but like, so I don't want to go there again and like be not hydrated and no nutrition, but like, yeah, I want to see how far I can go again. And this is a different format, so it should be fun.
Do you plan to continue your streak when you're done running?
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna finish running at like 1 a.m. if I have any control over it. Like that way I can have as much rest as possible. So I'm just kidding. Yeah, yeah. I mean that's a different conversation for the day after I'm done. I mean, the plan is to keep the streak alive, whatever my run streak is right now, 1,100 days or something. But no, I think it's going to be fun. I'm really looking forward to whatever the event brings and the camaraderie between all the people out there. And I think that's like, just from watching at the More Miles backyard, like how the people work together and kind of find somebody else to talk to each loop. So I'm really looking forward to like being in that environment, I guess. And then, actually being like a participant. But like I said before, I have no idea how this is going to be, how it's going to go, right? Like, I don't know how it's going to feel when I'm out there after. Honestly, I've done 12 yards. That's my highest right now. And that was in a practice situation. So once I get past that, it's uncharted territories, technically.
Right, right. And hey, one thing we haven't touched on that we should before we close is this is a silver ticket race, correct? So the winner of this event is invited to Biggs, is that correct?
Yeah. So the winner of this event earns their ticket to Big's Backyard in October. So that's the same weekend as Buzz Sawyer. So there's already been some discussion between Katie and I as to what that would look like if somehow I did manage to win. Not saying that that's going to happen, but that's always in the conversation, right? Is what could happen. But yeah, so it's a silver ticket. Winner gets an automatic bid into Bigs, but you can still get a ticket into Bigs if you have like the top 10 distances after the automatic bids go in, if that makes sense. I don't know what the exact number is, but you could get second place. And if that's your, or the assist, right? And if that number's high enough, you could still earn a spot into Bigs.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So being a
Cool.
silver ticket race. Yeah. I'm excited. I'm ready to mix it up and go for a long walk in the woods.
Yeah, I'm excited too. I'm excited to see how you and Samir do going up against some of the best competition the East Coast and Mid Atlantic have to offer. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm using it to inspire me for my backyard that I'm going to do at the end of May. So, looking forward to it.
Hey, before we end, I think we should say a little bit about who is going to be our crew. Maybe give them a little shout out here. So I know you're going to be there. You plan on being there for the duration of the event, and you will be like the crew chief, as far as I'm concerned. And then Katie will be there for Saturday morning and most of Saturday. Jeff is talked about now about coming down on Sunday, providing everybody's still running. And then Samir has a bunch of family that is going to be in the area. So they're going to kind of take turns coming out and cheering for him. And then we talked to a few other people. I don't know if they planned on coming or not, Carrie and Heidi. And then I think there was another.
Luke and Taylor are planning on coming out
Oh
for a
yeah,
little
Luke
bit.
and
Yep,
Taylor are planning on coming. Fogel's planning on coming. So it could be a nice little atmosphere there and some good cheering going on and could be a lot of fun. So I'm looking
absolutely.
forward to that. All right. Well, there's nothing to it but to go run it now, right?
Yeah, let's do it.
So, just as a final thought from myself is there's one big way that I know that Adam has taken this very seriously. And one is that he printed 3 copies of this runner's guide out. And he also told me by what I would guess was my lunchtime today that he had read it all the way through twice, which is totally unlike him. Usually I'm the one who's like, this is what's happening at the race. Why? Because I read the email. You didn't even look at it. You just hit delete. Or I watched the pre-race video. He doesn't do those things. But today he told me he printed out 3 separate copies and read it through it twice. So I know he's taking it seriously.
Maybe that means I'm nervous because I know how to run a marathon, right? Like I can
Yeah.
run a marathon. The video guide and all the other guides, that whatever, but like,
There's more to it. You got to get there on race morning. You got to know what time the shuttle buses leave and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, but I'll give you that. That's right. He's a little nervous, but he's actually preparing for this race as well, which is weird because normally when he goes out to run a marathon, he's just running every day like normal, nothing special. And then he shows up on race day to run a marathon. No big deal. But the other thing I was thinking was, I, I I was finally thinking just last night, his toenails are finally starting to look somewhat more normal. And it crossed my mind like, oh, great. When's the next time he's going to demolish his feet? And yep, now I remember. We're going to have to
Well-
leave the socks on, Adam.
I think we have the title of this podcast now. It'll be something about Adam's toenails.
perfect. You know, I was gonna have a final thought, and then you guys just threw me off with the toenail thing. Now I know what it is. It's gonna be really fun, Chris, to listen to this episode on like Tuesday, March 31st, to see how wrong I was about this entire thing. Like that'll be fun.
We'll do a little bit of a recap afterwards, and we'll make fun of it for sure.
Perfect. Well, thanks for having this conversation, Chris. I'm really, really excited about this race. Like I said, I've never done it before and anything could happen. And I think that is what like is exciting to me. I told Katie today I'm getting prepared and I read this, which means I could sprain my ankle on yard 2, or I could run and be fine and make it to day 2, right? Like there's a big difference there, and the part of the excitement is like not knowing what could happen. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
We'll see you out there.
Sounds good. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining us, Katie.
No after party. So when Chris says this is over, it's really over. Okay, guys.
Well, thanks for letting me visit.
All right. See you guys.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
That's all for today's episode of Tales on the Towpath. Thanks for joining us on another run down memory lane and along the C&O. If you've enjoyed the show, be sure to follow, share it with a friend, and leave us a review. Until next time, keep your pace steady and your stories flowing.